Have you ever wondered what a web developer actually does? You hear that term all the time, right? With the tech world just exploding, it's a question that comes up a lot. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify the entire world of web development, especially if you're just starting to get curious. Okay, let's just dive right in.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture, what web development really is. Then we'll get to know the key players, the different kinds of developers out there. After that, we'll look at the skills you actually need, walk through how a project is built from scratch, and finally, we'll talk about how you could start your own journey into tech.
All right, first things first, what are we even talking about when we say web development? It's a phrase that gets thrown around constantly, but the reality is way, way cooler than just putting together a simple web page. At its absolute heart, web development is all about writing software that runs inside your web browser. Chrome, Safari, whatever you're using. Honestly, think about your day. Every time you log into your email, watch a video, or use some online tool, you are using something a web developer built. They're literally building the digital world we all live in.
Now, here's a super important distinction. Developers build two very different kinds of things. On one side, you've got a website, kind of like a company blog, which is mostly there to give you information. You read it. But on the other side, you have powerful web apps. Think about using PayPal. That's a web app. It's not just for reading. It's for doing. It's interactive. It handles your private data. It lets you send money. Developers build both. So who are these people building all this stuff? Well, the field is pretty much broken down into three main roles. Let's meet them so you can see who's doing what to make all the digital magic happen.
Okay, first up, we have the front end. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's everything you, the user, can see and touch on your screen. The buttons you click, the menus you open, the way the page is laid out, that's all front end.
So front-end developers are the ones building the user interface, or UI. They use these core technologies, HTML for the basic structure, the skeleton if you will, CSS to make it look good, and JavaScript to make everything interactive. When you fill out a form online or see your profile picture pop up, that's a front-end developer's code making it happen, taking data from the back end and making it look great for you.
Now, if the front end is the dining room of a restaurant, what the customer sees and experiences, then the back end is the kitchen. It's this powerful, unseen engine that makes everything actually work. You never see it, but nothing happens without it. Back-end developers are writing what's called business logic, the brains of the whole operation. They manage the servers and the databases where all the important information, like everyone's account details, is kept safe. They also build something called APIs. Remember that PayPal example? The bit that lets a website securely talk to PayPal? That's an API, and a back-end developer built it.
And that brings us to our third type, the full-stack developer. You can think of them as the person who can not only design the beautiful dining room, but can also go back and run the entire kitchen. They can do both the front end and the back end. And this versatility, well, it's their superpower. A full-stack developer can take a project from just a simple idea all the way to a fully functioning product, all by themselves. Because they understand both sides of the coin, what the user sees and how the engine works, they have this amazing complete picture of how everything fits together. Okay, we have to clear something up because this confuses a lot of people. Web development is not web design. They are two different jobs. A web designer focuses on the look and feel, the user experience. They're like the architect drawing up the blueprints. The web developer is a construction crew that takes those blueprints and actually builds the house with code. One dreams it up, the other brings it to life.
So what does it really take to be a developer? I'll tell you right now, it's about so much more than just being a coding wizard. It's really a mindset. It's about being curious, being persistent, and really loving the process of building things that solve people's problems. And that mindset really rests on these three pillars. At the very center of it all is problem solving. Then, of course, you have the actual technologies you use to build your solution. And finally, having a good feel for design principles helps you build something that people don't just use, but actually enjoy using.
This is so important to understand. Your main job as a developer isn't just writing code, it is solving problems. And it almost always starts with something called a user story. For instance, a user story might be, as a user, Alex wants to log into the app using their Gmail account. Simple, right? But the developer's job is to figure out all the technical steps needed to make that simple sentence a reality. And to solve those problems, you need the right tools in your toolbox.
You've got your core languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's the absolute foundation of everything. Then you have tools for version control, like Git, which are just essential for tracking your work and collaborating with the team. And of course, you use tools for design and for testing to make sure the thing you built looks good and, actually works.
Of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room: AI. Is it going to take over developers' jobs? Well, according to experts like Nicole Abramovsky, the answer is a pretty clear no. AI is becoming an incredibly powerful tool that works with developers. It's a collaborator, not a competitor. Think of it as a super smart assistant that helps you work faster, but the creative problem solving, that still needs a human.
Okay, so we know what development is, who does it, and the skills they need. Now, let's put all the pieces together. Let's walk through the 5 main stages of taking a project from just an idea in someone's head to a real thing that people can use on the web.
The whole process is actually pretty logical. It all starts with defining the requirements. Remember those user stories we talked about? Then comes wireframing, where the design gets sketched out. Stage 3 is the fun part, the actual development, where all the code gets written. After that comes tons of testing to squash any bugs. And finally, launch. But it's not over. The last step is to get feedback from real users and keep making it better. So if any of this sounds exciting to you, you might be asking yourself, okay, but how do I even start? Well, the good news is that today there are more ways to get into a tech career than ever before. Let's quickly look at the main options. And here's the best part. There is no single right way to do it. Some people love the structure of a university and go for a computer science degree. Others prefer a coding bootcamp, which is super fast-paced and focused on getting you a job. And you know what? So many amazing developers are completely self-taught, just using the millions of online courses out there. The path you pick is all about what works for you. So there you have it. We've gone from the basic definition of web development to the people, the skills, the whole process, and even the different paths to get there. You now have the blueprint for what it takes to create things for the web. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build first?